Don't be scared.
You're here, finally. Monsieur Neurvalette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to look at this.
You mean...
We did not arrive in time to avert the... I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 feature different images that seem to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but...
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me, your Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh! You noticed!
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion... Still, I do not understand. Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. We may have to create a situation in which she will...
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial.
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions.
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but this may be cruel to her. But But who will then...
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently divorced.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what family should do. Sit and enjoy.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me?
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in court.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut as for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be...
Oh? How
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just...
Huh? Didn't you say that you...
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a...
I see. And what...
He is glad that you can...
In that case, do any of you have experience...
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, Oh, right. You were sick that day, weren't you?
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does...
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunter. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty. Today, Fontaine's a trap comprises of the following components. So, if we were to build a trap together...
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Our line of work requires a deft hand.
You use some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some...
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind...
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract others of their kind. I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic...
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you, monsieur. If we were to create a trap now...
I would like for it to be effective.
Kind as all. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes...
Wait, why's that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it.
So, are we going hunting together?
Huh. We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, but we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a...
Oh, so that's what...
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but it's hard to say. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two.
Who's ever...
Aw, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar.
The voice from the sky, You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
What? Then is there any way we can stop?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the...
What is she talking about?
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but other ultimately, fate shall serve as your only... This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well?
The voice. It's gone. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Luna!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. Not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations.
Did she have pink hair?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. I assume you've heard of her, no? That daredevil. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something.
Yes. About... Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon.
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. But I've never met her.
Whoa. The Hexen Circle...
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but perhaps it is something that you cannot know right. Traveler, Paimon?
Oh, we're fine.
I see. I feel that same. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. But even so, I still hope for. And perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. I did originally.
You do have a point.
It was worth trying to come. I suppose that might be.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler. Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to...
Evil shall be dispersed.
Huh? Our names are written. Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the fortress of Meropide. My recent attempts to enter the thus did an Outlander friend become the so while the fortress's interior of journalist Charlotte's biggest Charlotte took so many awesome photos. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easy seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time. We're here! Paimon's hungry. Should we go in and get something to eat? Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go! Paimon's sure it'll be great!
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia!
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalet would...
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it close?
Well,
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, no. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today, then you should carry on. That's what people call living, you know.
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us things about human. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can... I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right?
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. It's more delicious than last time. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food here.
been It's all right, though.
Really?
You're...
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for...
A friend of ours met you a while back, and when she met...
Ah, so you know Miss Mona as well. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real dare...
Nice. In which case, can this dare...
Huh? So your article in the paper
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like...
Yeah, are we even...
Why not? If I say you're worth...
Oh, in that case, we'll just...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. Whew, so much to get done now.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist, first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake my homeland that easily. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that...
That's so nice. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow. No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait. Feels like you'll grow mold if you... But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's...
So the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur... Not at all. I'm well aware... Yes, inside the Opera House.
A riot?
Well, that said, Lady Farina was watching a performance at the opera, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophet. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But...
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control, and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry. The Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Marechaussee has dispatched many people to search for her. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but...
Don't worry. This is more than enough to go on.
Is that so?
Well, all right.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, and as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervalet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused. Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's... Huh! Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but in that case, there's not a moment to lose. This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. Oh, that's Farina, right over there.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the... That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up with her. This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the...
What? fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way. I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they... You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, did it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neverlette's made some emergency plans, so the
Yeah. I hope that the people of Poisson, they've already... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over But, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea, but all my efforts proved to be futile, and we cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase, indeed. I've thought about giving up so many Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started just now. It all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated... A witness. And if But is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, if that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She...
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surround?
Wow, how utterly...
Lady Farina, what is...
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear,
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of... This time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic,
All right, then. Who will be my opponent?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please... Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since it...
Navia, the president...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the people's resentment against their arch. Moreover, according to our understanding So, we arranged for a second group.
So, you mean...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Of course, this performance was only made possible. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess, Nervilette, you gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh? Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done, the stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait. Then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of... Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case. This is the first time Monsieur a Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a... According to Monsieur Nervilette, I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but did I hear that right?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever see? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case,
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used as First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Neville had sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina is actually...
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as God. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider...
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used as compelling evidence. You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current while the court is in session, the principles of justice, and you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold...
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable—
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily—
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
Seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you please. You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all—
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up. That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think... that doesn't sound right. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear now. I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my— So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro— But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of it—
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us, which...
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the—
Well, of course you had to tell her.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem...
What's going on? Is she really planning to—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may—
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a
Miss Siegeween? If you are present, Miss Siegeween, please come forward.
Siegeween?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegeween. Lady Farina, you may return.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low concentration. It's a great thing that the direct sample...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such... Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an also, if I was really just... Please, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against...
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilt to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did the...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratree seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it.
Any mission, Father, is
that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around, but has the trial already concluded? Then, doesn't that mean I've come too late? Oh no. Father will be disappointed.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their
So what do you see?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember. Stone slate describes what you just said. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it, this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians... The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. Huh. That reminds Paimon, didn't we? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first.
We know from the case and the first stone, this might be... Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before, and the... It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. The prophecy from the stone slates found the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy, if we hadn't dealt with it in time...
dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist, their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass. The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine it now, but then it feels like we're going to have to share some
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. And how and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a try.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the forest? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon... Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, however, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to...
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must... That doesn't sound...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster. It has been greedily consumed, and once it has finished consuming all of the...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created...
Precisely. That whale finds... Therefore, when it left the Primordial Sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely... From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the Primordial Sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible...
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance...
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Just as prophecies are... Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Verena! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Verena. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principle.
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly... Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, in order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, all right, it is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must act. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. By royal decree.
Settle down. Silence! Be sanctified.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! Oz, reveal that.
Bow your head.
By royal decree.
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad. Let's go.
Mirror me. What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. I know. I think the people will all be dissolved into the waters.
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem to...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. I will tell you how to save everyone, but...
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, as for the suffering, well, that if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
I suppose this would also be... Huh? Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well.
Play as...
That's right. You must begin if you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must, being a human yourself, remember, your true...
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long am I going to have to play this?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure and not grow old until your task, but I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial, and everyone will...
A trial? Huh. How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it. The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appeal? I'm sure you've all heard about... In truth, I know little about... As the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of fair... Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any this should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more assertive.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person, then?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being... Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a god as humans and... Calm down, Farina. Think assertive, with a strong sense of presence. Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this opera house, would the children of Fontaine Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was. Now then, let us be
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful. Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can the scales of may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be There is no trouble in this so long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the opera.
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary.
Come now, was I not? Besides, none of these trials were the.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you truly looking forward to?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things. How could you?
That's true, I fear I lack.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say.
No need to think. All right.
You remembered me, and you knew he is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent. You're such a gentle and wise god.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, I'm afraid...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to see how far your human wisdom would allow you to... All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass. Forget it. That's not something you need to worry about right now.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also trying to find a way to counter the rising water levels.
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective solution thus far.
Is that so? The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe this whole time. But it's good to see that everything's getting on. Maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
They'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back over...
Lady Farina, I've waited...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near...
Understood. Keep monitoring. I don't think I feel utterly
Lady Farina, I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria, almost 20...
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a faithful believer.
Surely you exaggerate...
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Really now? I didn't... This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters, can I?
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh, Archon, I am honored...
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined that it would hurt so much. I want to tell someone. Any I've conducted, so all I can do is keep heart.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder... Although I don't know what...
Share. That's impossible. It was...
But even if your burden doesn't need to be... Just share it with...
a witness. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show... If that's the case... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected, the people of Fontaine will be the ones to pay the price. No, Farina, you But what if, Farina, you've worked so... Is it such an outrage if you let this up? Think about it. Long and hard. No, all you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness, and Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only... did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within, but really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be, accumulated.
It was all part of your plan, then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by—
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor the destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be
returning what's rightfully yours. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the—
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. And that I, for my part, am the— Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence. Defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people— At this point, with Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as at last, in the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. You are a devious one. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Nervalette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Don't put off until tomorrow.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't been to—
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
But didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the primordial sea from that. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I root the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. The beast that enacts the prop. Come with me, traveler.
separate the power of the primordial sea from whale. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient ground. I shall look for a door to I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
By royal decree! I summon thee!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
You're up! Oz, reveal button!
Disappear! Here! Worthless!
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Stay put! Don't get you again!
By royal decree!
Silence! Let the mighty be humbled!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It was just supposed to be... Well, actually, I had a...
That power. Who are you exactly?
Hyman has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the...
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primal... That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that...
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous.
The foul?
Still nothing? Well...
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-Daughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Hyman didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the Fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the Heavenly Prince.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry! Hey, lend a hand! water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
The soil renewed. The Sweetity Rasula attacks post-disaster. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small cookie when you're starving late at night. You just need a little of it. Skyship Winglet, Booner Brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute. With jury attorney, people always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle, they would Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, we would print a free edition packed to the margins with good news. The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we want—
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with—
are you sure?
Oh, this time—
Reduced to just standing around. How absurd.
Oh, it's you.
Hey, we're just having a...
I'm here to update myself on how
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supplies, and is helping with our work. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely. We've lost a lot of people, but we're moving forward. That will have to be enough.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity,
I get where you're coming from.
That would be fine.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the
Huh? You here?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait out the heat.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more
Wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the...
Forget it. I'm sure...
I see you're the same...
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake...
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up. And smite.
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness is the key. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get...
Wow, you really do have that never say die spirit. I'm impressed.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess, too.
That's a very...
In truth, I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that...
You're right.
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear...
Don't be scared!
Oz, reveal by...
Evil conquering! Here! Worthless!
By royalty...
Settle down! Be sanctified.
My...
Don't be scared!
Bow your head.
You're up!
Boring! Useless! Disappear! Here! Worthless!
Stay put! Oz, reveal thyself!
The tides beckon. Settle down!
You're up!
By royal decree!
Bow your head.
Stay put! Oz, reveal thyself!
Let the mighty be humbled. Settle down.
Ad Astra.
you